Hello and welcome once again to Luke Blues Talking. I started off last week with an apology for the lack of Brian and Laurence. I thought they were just missing the one episode, but unfortunately I'm starting off tonight with another apology. Laurence remains in Germany, but we have managed to lure Brian back to join us again. So joining myself and Brian tonight is the ever dependable George Frank. Tonight we'll have a wee look back at Saturday's penalty shootout win over Ross County, Tuesday's defeat to Partick Thistle, and we'll also look ahead to this weekend's trip to Edinburgh City. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Absolutely. Spot on, Tommy. Thank you.
All good.
Starting with yourself, George, what were your thoughts on Saturday?
Absolutely over the moon. I think we were all kind of, um, yeah, high as kites after the 90 minutes, and even more so after the penalty shootout, and just a perfect way to start a season. Bacon sunshine, a little bit too hot for me. I had the old forehead sweats going on, um, but yeah, just brilliant. And I think from 1 to 11, the subs, everyone put in a great display, and I'm sure we'll come to all that in a wee minute.
Do you echo that, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic weather, Tommy. Usually at the Ecogen, you get a wee bit cold, during the game, but it was absolutely boiling Saturday. I never felt any coldness at all. And as echo what George says, well, great performance and a great penalty shootout win. It was a good day all round.
I find it funny that when you speak to managers, you speak to players, and rightly so to an extent, they'll say how it's just one game, we're not getting too carried away. That game's done now, we look to the next one. But I think as fans, particularly the first game of the season, you can't help but get that wee bit carried away.
Yeah, Ross County have just come down for the Premier League, so I mean, you're expecting, a right hard game, which we got, and I mean, Ginge and the backroom staff got their tactics spot, and I thought, soak up pressure, and I mean, they weren't bombarding us with chances, but they did, have a couple of chances in the first half. They obviously scored with through Hale, who I really rate, who I think is a really good player. Uh, but apart from that, the second half, as I said in commentary, they didn't bombard us with chances, Tom, and it was a really good, strong performance. And it just augurs well I think augurs well for the season. I said at the start, when Tiff started to sign these players, I says, I almost certain we're going to have a right good defence. And I'm hoping that it's going to stay that way because they look really, really good.
I thought speaking to the Ross County manager and kind of seeing what's been said, the chat was, and this was obviously kind of reflected by the fact that they made three subs at half time, but the chat was he thought they were better in the second half. Whereas I didn't think that Stranraer ever really dropped out of the game. I thought we could have kept them at arm's length. They were always going to have chances, but it was never a case of kind of bodies on the line and throwing men in front of shots at every opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was. I think you're right, Tom. I think they'd have better chances in the first half. I know Jordan White, I think, had a couple of chances. Gallagher had a couple of chances, which he probably should have scored with. Particularly the first half, he had a free header which he put over the bar. That's the same. I mean, and we said in commentary, Hale was, I don't know whether it's Hale's way of playing, but he was dropping back to get into the game, which I thought, well, Stannard doing really well here because he's not getting a lot of the ball. He's wanting to drop back and get into the game. And second half, I mean, I think Hale dropped out of the game probably maybe tiredness, I don't know, last 20 minutes. And we seem to get stronger as a game. And again, we said it in commentary, Cammy. I mean, before we scored, 2 minutes up to goal, we were starting to getting the chances. And I said, we're looking as dangerous as ever were. And it paid off with Tommy Sharp getting the end with the cross for Evan Dunn.
Who do you feel kind of stood out for you, George?
For me, I think Jordan Stewart. I thought he was, yeah, impressive in pre-season, but on Saturday he was just seemed to be everywhere, omnipresent, if you will. And Evan Dunn as well. I think he's a player that if you had a scout watching him, he'd be going, well. He ticks all the boxes. He's big, strong, fast, bombs up and down the wing, very fit, reads the game well by the looks of things. Just ticks all the boxes, and I think I'm going to set out my stall now and say that I think he's going to go places. I know Brian likes to pick a player, and he's done very well over the years in naming Kyle Turner and Ali McCann and Craig Ross, but I think Evan Dunn's going to be a player. And Josh Lane's the other obvious name. I don't want to name everyone, but I think since he's come in for a young goalkeeper, he's barely put a foot wrong, and obviously the hero in the penalty shootout.
You said about not wanting to name names in kind of football cliche time, but you probably could have made a case for just about anyone that featured on Saturday for man of the match or kind of things that they did well.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think we knew coming in that every player needed to be at it and at the top of their game and coming in with the right mentality. And I think we'd said that through the week, and that's what we got on Saturday. Every single player acquitted themselves well, stuck to their task, and we got the result at the end of the day. And hopefully lots more of that to come in the coming weeks.
I appreciate that time will tell with this, Brian, but do you think the fact that we were safe towards the end of last season and that allowed the manager to kind of have a proper look at the players that were already at the club and also to go and kind of identify the players they wanted to bring to the club, is that hopefully going to kind of reap dividends in that we've managed, we're not kind of rushing about like obviously we were after East Kilbride where we were behind everyone else who'd already started planning?
I think I get a wee bit unlucky that way. I hadn't that much time to prepare. And it was maybe forced. I don't say forced, but maybe took on maybe too many players for the previous season. And I think for what we gather, Tiff has been looking about from, since we're safe in League Two from, February, March. He's been looking about the leagues, and I think he knows from his West of Scotland days that Tiff knows a player. He's been about the game for a while, and he said, well, he'll do a job for us. And you've got to say, every player he's brought in from, he gets a lot of criticism and social media for bringing in players from a certain league. But every player he's brought in looks as though they can do a job. And as George says, Jordan Stewart, we'll come on to him later on about last night, but Saturday he was all over. I think I called him a terrier, when he was playing. Evan Dunn, and you guys might disagree with me, but Evan Dunn reminds me so much of Cap Broadfoot when he was a kid at St Mirren. Right up that, right back up the right wing, so forceful, always there or thereabouts, And I was thinking to myself, he reminds me of a player, and it's Cap Broadfoot. And I agree with George. I think he's going to be some fine, the boy, and as I say, every player that Tibbs has brought in so far, to me, has done the business. And, I don't think there can't be that much a difference between West of Scotland and League Two. Not a huge gap, but Tiff knows the players who can step up, and we've still got, we've been told Ronan Hughes could be the best of the lot. So, we're really looking forward to seeing him. So, I just cannot fault the manager's, attitude at the moment. It's been spot on with the players he's picked up.
To switch kind of from one end of the country to the other, obviously we saw when the new manager went in at Elgin and signed players from the Highland League, a league that he obviously knew. Do you think that could be a kind of tactic that obviously Chris knows the West of Scotland League, Martin Fellows knows the West of Scotland League, Stevie's been about the Lowland League as well. Do you think that could, in theory, kind of help us in terms of players that perhaps other managers are not looking at?
I think so, Cammy. As I say, he knows them leagues inside out. He's been about them for, a good several years. And I'm quite sure last season he was saying, well, I could maybe bring him in. I could maybe he was planning it already for this season. And once he was safe, he knew he was going to bring in. And as we say earlier on, it's proven fruitful. And as I say, the players he's brought in have been spot on. I can't say anything against them.
Yeah, obviously, George, if you were going to write a script from Saturday there, what about if we have a player comes on for his debut on the park, a matter of seconds, scores with his first touch, and in front of his dad as well, just for a wee cherry on the cake there. Quite the impact from Tommy Sharp, George.
It's sports entertainment. This it's all fake. Yeah, just perfect. And seeing Lee in front of us, and I think when Tommy scored, he kind of gave him a little wave, and his dad gave him a wave back, and as you say, we talk quite a lot about trying to tell the stories that play out in front of us, and it was a perfect story to tell on Saturday.
Last season, Brian, we had a penalty shootout in the League Cup group phase at Stirling Albion. And I think yourself and Laurence had both said, after the 90 minutes, if we win it, we win it. If we don't, we don't. Not all that fast. Obviously, you want to win each game. What were your emotions when obviously we're lining up for the penalty shootout before we knew that it was going to obviously be about 10 penalties each?
Yeah, I think Saturday was a wee bit more important because we're getting the bonus point early on against Stirling. It absolutely didn't matter because we were finishing last and they were finishing second last. So up to that didn't matter. But I think just probably the morale, booster for us to win a penalty shootout against Ross County and just basically win the game. But penalties are some folk call them lotteries. I don't know, but I mean I don't know. I don't know about penalties, but I was delighted to win them anyway. And there was two or three dodgy penalties. I think we forecast one of them was going to get into the woods anyway, and but it was entertaining stuff, and it kept the crowd on its toes for about 10, 15 minutes. That's what I really enjoyed, and but we got the 2 points, which was what counted. And I mean, you always think to yourself, that's just got 2 points, a bit of a chance, but after last night, I mean, it kind of knocks you in the head. But after getting the 2 points, you're on top of the world, especially against a team that's just dropped in for the Premier League last season.
What do you think, George? Was the fact that we'd come back against Ross County and got the draw, would we have been having the same sort of reaction if we'd lost the penalty shootout? We think, well, that would have been a point in the league game, or do you take a little bit extra from winning the penalty shootout and getting the bonus point?
I think it's obviously sends the fans home happy. You've got a better chance of making it through the group, even though the odds are obviously stacked against the small clubs anyway. I think for me, you want to get the season started with as good a result as you possibly can, and that's what we did. And people going home happy, everyone talking about the club. That's kind of what we're looking for.
And in terms of the penalties, Brian, you obviously you never want to kind of get carried away, and when there's one saved from the opposition, you don't kind of want to jinx it almost and start saying, right, that's it in the bag. But equally, kind of plenty of twists and turns during that shootout.
I have to say, Tom, I felt really sorry for Ryan. He stepped up to win it for the first time for us. And the keeper had a pretty good save. That was a wee bit upsetting for Ryan, but we came again, and Lewis Hunter won it, for us with I think it was 6-5, wasn't it? So I think I said in commentary, Ross were going for 6-4. That was impossible. They'd probably win the game if it was 5-4. So I got it wrong, but I think I was getting that excited in the penalty takers. But I mean, and I think we've seen. I thought Aaron Quigg had a great penalty. I thought his penalty was probably one of the best penalties, in the shootout. But yeah, it was all good, as we say, Carmen. As George says, we went team happy with 2 points.
Now, George, I think it's only fair as well, given that, as I say, there were 10 penalties taken. Obviously, some missed. With your committee hat on, I'm throwing it out there. Is there any way that we can get recreated with Scott Ruff and Josh Lane taking penalties? Because it's not fair that everyone else had to take them. So I think it's only fair we get to see what their penalty taking capabilities are like.
Yeah, I would like to film it with them when they get down, but I've already had Josh catching a fish supper in front of a green screen, so I think I might be pushing my luck.
Fair play to Josh as well. Obviously, as you touched on, George, he's a young goalkeeper, and I appreciate that the pressure's probably more on the player taking the penalty. Obviously, stepped up there with some big saves.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we've come to expect that from Josh now. You have absolute faith in him, and it's a bit like Matt Scurry. He always had that shot stopping ability that you could call upon when when the going gets tough and you need a big save. And me and Brian were talking to him outside the ground last night, and he's just a lovely lad. Cool head on his shoulders, and another one that I think needs to be watched in terms of the future. And yeah, I think he's head and shoulders above a lot of keepers at this level.
Mm-hmm.
And just one last thing on Saturday as well. It was telling that the players that stepped up to take penalties. Obviously, Tommy Sharp was one of them. It could quite easily have gone from kind of hero to zero. Fair play to the players that step up and take them.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not for everyone, and like you say, it could have come down to Scott and Josh having to hit one. And there are some people that just don't like the thought of having it all on their shoulders. So well done to the ones that stepped up, including Lewis, who he sent me a message after it saying something like, can I cut it out of the edit? But I promised him that it wouldn't be remembered. So
on that, as I say, one last thing from Saturday. We spoke to Tommy Sharp after the game, so let's hear from him now. Quite the way to make the first impression.
Aye, it was magic. Obviously, like coming on and stuff like that, and then getting a goal in the first minute was brilliant. I loved it. Great debut.
Was it your first touch? You can lie and say it was.
I actually think it was, so that makes it even better than my first touch for the club and then going and scoring, so that was brilliant. So, good.
Obviously, you featured before as a trialist. How difficult is it as a trialist? Obviously, you want to impress, but I guess there's the chance you're trying too hard, I guess.
You can end up doing that in pre-season. Like you can end up trying too hard, like doing stuff that you're not good at. But I just kind of stuck to the basics and done what the gaffers asked of us, and I just walked out and got a contract and done well with it. So take that.
What did the manager say when he was sending you on? Hopefully get a goal, judging by that.
James was just like, just go on and do well, just do what you've been doing all pre-season and stuff like that, working hard, getting up and down. So no, as I said, it was brilliant to go on and basically scoring my first touch. So it was good my dad was here, and I know he will watch it.
Well, that's it. I don't imagine there'll be many more proud people on the ground, your dad.
Aye, exactly. No, so I just caught him at the end there, so I was chatting about him, so I gave him my phone. So, yeah.
And how are you settling in? Obviously signed during the week.
Aye, so it's been brilliant. It's been a really good pre-season. Gaffer's been brilliant with us again. Gave us the opportunity to come in here after leaving Livingston, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a great group of boys and stuff like that. I absolutely love it. It's really a positive kind of atmosphere, and yeah, it's brilliant. I can't wait for the league campaign to start.
Did the kind of obvious link your dad, is that kind of how you ended up here, or how did you end up training with Stranraer?
So it was like kind of just word of mouth basically. So I basically just got the opportunity after leaving Livingston. Wanted to go and just go and play kind of professional football, just go and play as many games as I can this season, see how far I can get. But no, like as I said, I came in here and I've done well, and I've got the opportunity to sign, and I feel like I've done really well. So yeah, it's been good.
And obviously don't have long to wait for the next game Tuesday night.
Exactly. No, it wasn't for that. Like all the boys are buzzing about the day, but full focus is on Tuesday already. Just go and see if we can get any more points on the board and go and kind of really push on. Aye.
I guess that's it. Obviously delighted about today, but at the end of the day it's just one game. Can't get too carried away.
Exactly. You can't, like, you've got to take one game at a time. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got today's done. We've done our celebration, so now we full focus on Tuesday night at Firhill.
Right, that's Saturday done and dusted. Let's look back just to what 24 hours ago in terms of last night. Brian, George, you were both at the game. Another tough game for Stranraer.
Yeah, I think so, Carney. Probably the same pattern as Saturday. Backs to the wall. For quite a lot of the game. Thistle had quite a lot of possession, but again, we weren't getting peppered. They hit the post with a free kick. Maybe midway through the first half. We probably had the better chance with that half when Docherty almost scored. I think he hit the post, Bud spilled it, and Docherty nearly got it over the line, and they went up the park. And I said in comments, it's so unfair in Stranraer because we played so well. And I mean, you're playing well defensively when they're shooting for distance. And I can't remember them really cutting us open. They had a couple of things here and there. Fitzpatrick's a very good player, and Lawless on the right-hand side. Both very tricky wingers, but they didn't tear us apart. And I think probably, I forgot to mention Scott Ruff earlier on, who's another player who I really rate since come in, and he maybe a wee bit unhappy, that he let Ashcroft head of the ball. I seen him after the goal, just getting his cell a wee bit of talking to. Unfortunate. I mean, he was coming at the back of him, so I mean, he was a wee bit, disadvantaged. But I thought it was so unfair on Stranraer because they deserved to go in nothing each. They definitely did, but they got that late goal. And I think Stevie said it changed his team talk, half time again. But in the second half, you've got to be perfectly honest. It was really back to the wall the whole second half. They really pressed us in. I think tiredness for Saturday. I mean, it was only 72 hours, for that game against, Ross County. And I think tiredness, I think the players were beginning to feel it. And Thistle, their full-time training, was taking over. But again, credit to the players. They stuck in there and worked had a will to make it 2-0, which I thought was a wee bit unfair in Stranraer. I thought we looked so we're getting away with 1-0 defeat, which it's a defeat, but it's a really good score against a championship side. But all in all, I mean, again, plenty of credit to the players, and the management again because they got their tactics spot on.
I appreciate, obviously, we're literally 2 games into the season, but do you feel, George and Brian here, do you feel the team looks kind of fitter almost? Would we feel as if kind of, I think Chris had said last season that it's no longer about kind of minutes 1 to 90, it's almost kind of 95 and onwards. Do you feel that we've got a team now that look like they can push on kind of beyond 90 minutes?
Yeah, I think fit both in terms of stamina and strength. I think, you look at the players, some of them are just solid, and we competed physically with Partick Thistle last night, and I think 2 or 3 years ago we probably ship another 2 or 3 goals. There were a couple of moments of quality, and you look at a guy like Tony Watt coming on. Brian said on commentary he's scored against Barcelona. Now he can say he scored against Stranraer as well. He's being able to bring on a player like that is just a step above. And I think the fact that we matched them for more or less than 90 minutes, bar a couple of moments, the players can have their heads held high.
I guess that's quite impressive in itself, that obviously we've said about the number of new faces that have come in and the fact that obviously as a part-time team you're only getting a couple of sessions a week, but the shape, the discipline defensively that we've, as we said about Ross County, saying it about Partick as well, that we're not being kind of cut open time after time. It must be enjoyable for the management, the coaches, seeing how, as I say, disciplined and how in shape and taking on board what's being said from the managers.
Yeah, I think we seem a lot more organised and together than maybe we were at times a couple of seasons ago, and maybe it is that experience and that that slight uplift in age, and yeah, it's positive signs. I think as well. If you look at the minutes that they've given to players last night, James Dolan starting and doing very well considering it's his first start in a whole calendar year. Doherty and McManus both having a half each. Kirk McKnight coming back from injury, so it's it was a good exercise for us as well as showing up well against a good team.
So as we say, Brian, I think outside of Ewan Henderson and Ronan Hughes, we've seen all of the new signings. I think they've all looked like they can bring something to the team.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier on, Tammy. I mean, they all look they can step up to League Two without a problem. They really do. It looks as though they've been playing in the league for years because I mean it looks so comfortable to them. And last year we played Annan in the I think it was a Challenge Cup. Am I right in saying that early doors? And an Annan supporter walked past me and said, "Men against boys." I think I can assure them this season it won't be men against boys when we play Annan because they're a really. I said to Stephen in the post match last night, I mean, they're much more physical looking side. We look as though we can do something at the back, and handle ourselves. And that is probably something, even though we've had Craigie Ross at the back, it's maybe something we've been missing in the past 2 or 3 seasons. But the way Tiff has built this defence, I'm really confident, that we're going to have a fair season. If I mean, I know we're still looking for a striker, but apart from that, I think I'm pretty confident we'll be, we won't be far away from, the top echelon with the league.
Now, obviously, George, we're not going to come up against championship teams week in, week out. Do you feel as much as anything that this has almost been a kind of, although we obviously want to win, it's been a useful almost extension of pre-season in terms of kind of getting the team to where they want to be in terms of fitness, in terms of the shape, as we mentioned?
Yeah, you could probably throw in the Crusaders and the land games into that mix as well in terms of playing against teams that are, have substantially bigger budgets and are able to bring in quality. And I think particularly for some of the guys who are making that step up from the West of Scotland League, it's hopefully getting them, up to speed ahead of the league kicking off. And yeah, I don't think I'm not worried, put it that way. I think there's a lot to be positive about, but the proof of the pudding will probably be this Saturday.
Yeah.
I think as well, Brian, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. The way that the League Cup works in terms of the seedings, etc., as good a result as Saturday was, it's still going to take something very special for a League Two side to progress.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying Carna's only one progressed. Spartans progressed last season, but I think that's about the only one in recent seasons. It's very, I think Anne maybe, I don't know whether they were in League Two at the time, but it's very hard for a League Two side. It's just the way that the draw comes out, I mean, and you're up against these full-time teams, right away, and they've been in since middle of June training, every day, I mean, they're up to speed, and it's very hard, but I mean, you can't. I'm not going to get too carried away at the moment because we've seen it before. I mean, fantastic League Cup campaign. And I think Clyde were going to win the league last season after they beat Thistle in the League Cup. Where they ended up. I think a couple of seasons ago, Forfar had a good run in the League Cup. They're going to win the league. They ended quite well in the league. So you can't get too carried away. But on the basis of the two performances I've seen so far, I'm pretty confident we'll be okay.
We'll just wrap up from last night then. Brian spoke to new signing Sal after the game.
How are you feeling after that?
No, I'm absolutely blown. I thought it was a good game, to be fair. I thought we done well. Obviously we switched off for the goal, which was quite unfortunate, but it happens. And then obviously into the second half, I thought we'd have started well, pressing them, and then obviously the last minute goal switch off again. But it's going to happen against a championship side like Partick Thistle, obviously a big club. Yeah. But last two games I thought we'd done really well. So, aye.
Can you tell the fans at home how hard it is to play up front against two championship sides? I mean, and the calibre of defenders you're facing.
No, it's really hard. Obviously, I played against Dan and Ash in training and stuff, so obviously I know them well. But it's very difficult. Obviously, big boys, very experienced. They've been about. Obviously, it's even harder playing by yourself up front, but it's a role I've done before, so don't mind doing it.
And are you enjoying, the first 2 or 3 weeks at the club?
Yeah, I've loved it. I have enjoyed it. Boys are very welcoming. Gaffer, obviously Gaffer's not here just now, but when I first came in, he was here and he was great with me. And so the assistant, obviously amazing, and then Fez and stuff as well. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, you had a couple of chances tonight, I mean, both over the bar, but I mean, you showed in flashes, what you're about.
Aye. Second one took a deflection, I think, so I was quite unfortunate with that. The first one was just, obviously no one really around me, so it was just touch inside and hit one. Probably should hit it low, but yeah, aye.
Now on to Edinburgh on Saturday, which a wee bit more, how we're going to do in the league this season. Are you looking forward to that? Against defenders who might not be, as good as what we've been facing.
No, absolutely. I'm ready for that. All focus is on that now. Hopefully get 3 points. Hopefully get us to the 5 points in competition. Hopefully have a good chance at. Never know. We could come second or first. You never know.
Yeah.
But no, delighted. Can't wait for that game.
Now, as we've mentioned already this evening, this weekend, Edinburgh City, a fellow League Two team. Do you both feel will this give a better kind of indication of where Stranraer are as a team?
Yeah, I think Stevie said that last night in his post-match, Cammy. This will tell us a wee bit more about ourselves, where we are. I think what we are gearing up, for that first game of the season, against Forfar, and everything's going to be on that game, But a win against Edinburgh would be nice on Saturday. It puts a marker down. We're going to be competing in this league again. It's very very early. I don't think Edinburgh are up to speed as well. They've had a couple of heavy defeats. I watched last night's game against Queens. They won they had one or two chances, but not a lot. I mean, they're still missing two or three players, So, but so I mean, James Doe won't play. I don't think he'll be rest. He was in the table last night getting attended to with physio. I think he's a couple of stitches in his foot, so he won't play. I don't think. Darren's still missing. Robbie's out long term. Ronan lower wrist. I'm quite sure he'll come back. Hopefully back for the Forfar game. So we're one or two out ourselves, but as I say, it'll throw down a marker. If we can get a result against them.
You go along with that, George?
Yeah, and I think I'd be wary of going into that and thinking, they've had two heavy defeats and let's go there and win. I think they'll be much of the same mindset as we probably are in that they'll be looking at it as their kind of acid test. And they've proven over the last season and a bit that they are a force to be reckoned with in League Two, and I'm sure they'll be much the same this season. So again, hopefully we go in with the right kind of mindset and can go up there and get another positive result because we've got a good record over the last year or two.
You mentioned mindset there, George, and I'm sure Stevie will be drumming this into the players that just because we've had two good performances against championship sides, that doesn't mean that you're just going to stroll into Edinburgh and take 3 points.
No, that's it. And it's been a hard venue. The wins that we have had there have been narrow, and we've had to fight really hard for them. So yeah, I'm sure Steve will be drilling that into them, and that'll be the approach they take.
Obviously, last season is last season. Players have come and gone from both sides. Edinburgh City had a really good season last season. Obviously, finished higher than I think just about anyone would have predicted. But Stranraer more than held their own against them. Do you reckon that's just one of those things, Brian, or is that going to have any impact at all come Saturday?
No, I mean, last season's gone. It's now this season. Although I can't see much change in the way we'll set up on Saturday because we know Edinburgh City like to play the ball about. So I'm quite sure Stranraer will keep compact like they did last season against them. And just let them play in front of them, and then on the break or whenever we get the chance to go forward in numbers. And try and get the goal that way. But I can't see it being much different from our first two games. Stay compact at the back, and if we get the chance going forward, take it. And I think that's the way the game will go. Because as we say, they like to play football. They like to play a bit of football, So we'll see how it goes. But I'm looking forward to see, how we do against a League Two side.
I'm interested to see how Edinburgh City get on this season. Obviously, last season, they're very much the surprise package. Do you reckon it'll be more of the same from them, or do you reckon that they won't have that element of surprise this season?
Well, the boy for Hibs we were talking about earlier on hasn't appeared yet. Is it Zad Malik? Am I right in saying that? Is that his name is? He's not appeared yet, so I don't know whether he's injured on holiday or not. But he's a bit of a playmaker from in the middle of the park. And I'm quite sure it's McIndoe's way of working, isn't it? He likes teams to pass the ball, and we were better than them last season because we were compact against them every game. We played the right game plan, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I think it'll be the same on Saturday. They quite a lot of the ball, but we'll be compact again. Darren Moore is quite a speedy customer. He played really well against us for Kelty last season, and he'll be one to watch. But again, I mean, as I said earlier on, Tommy, I'm looking forward to see how we do against a team from our own league.
Brian's saying about us being kind of compact, more of the same from the first two games. Obviously, as a League Two team we're playing, do you reckon we might see more of Stranraer in terms of an attacking threat on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't know whether we might kind of try and get on the front foot to begin with. The early bird catches the pie and all that. So maybe we'll go out and try and get an early goal and assert ourselves a little bit. It's maybe just like we've kind of already touched upon. The forward areas is probably where we're lacking a little bit, and it might be more of a kind of conservative approach until we get that kind of signing over the line that they're looking to find.
I was going to ask that, Brian. Do you think that Saturday will give a better indication of where we are offensively rather than defensively, as we've seen in the first two games?
Yeah, I think so, Carmy. I mean, I'm saying we're compact. The way we beat Edinburgh City last week was the press. Yeah, last season was the press. And I can remember the game when McKnight and Quigg in the middle of the park were absolutely fantastic. And, I mean, if Jordan Stewart plays, he's the same type of player. Be press. Lewis Hunter exactly the same. Loves a press. So I mean, I'm quite sure it'll be the same for us. And you say we might be a wee bit more on the front foot, and we might see more in an attacking way. But whether we play two up top, which a lot of fans are wanting. I mean, it'd be suicidal to play two up top against Championship teams, but League Two teams, you never know. He might try the two up top. I mean, Turay and Edgar, but that means dropping one of the boys further back, which I don't think he'll do. I think he'll go with Edgar or Turay's had two hard games. Whether he brings Edgar into the fold for this one, I don't know, but I think it'll be the same as usual. Russell sitting just behind the striker.
That's the only thing, Brian, I'd say is that if he was going to try two up top, now might be the time to do it.
Yeah.
And that we're not into the league season yet. We've got Queen of the South next weekend. I mean, maybe that'll be the time to do it when you've got your derby rivals at home, and just kind of go all out and see what you get. But I think either this week or next, he might kind of tinker with the formation, and it's going to be interesting anyway to see what the lineup is on Saturday.
I guess on Saturday as well, the fact that we don't have that midweek game, that we could probably afford to play the two strikers, and you don't run the risk of you're kind of short of options like we would have been between Ross County and Partick if we had played kind of 90 minutes with the two of them.
Yeah, and I think as well from what we've heard, Ryan didn't train as much as he would have liked the last week or so with work and stuff. So it is maybe just he needed to get back up to speed, and he'll be more in contention the next week or two as well.
Now, obviously, we've spoken about Robbie is looking to be out kind of slightly more longer term. Brian, you were in commentary with Darren last night. What was he saying in terms of when he hopes to be back?
Well, he's hoping to start running again. We're recording this on Wednesday, so this is when this comes out, it'll be tonight. So it's Thursday. He's hoping to start running again. He's going to be with the group this Thursday, and he'll gradually build up. And we're looking at him last night. His legs are looking stronger. So hopefully, he'll build up to. I think he's looking at maybe the Forfar game. I don't know whether he'll play or no, but I think he's looking to to try and get back for that. But you got to take it easy because I mean, he had so many injuries last season. I think I was saying last night. I think he'd only 25 appearances, and I know one or two were there for the bench, but he hadn't that many appearances. Well, 25 is not too bad, but he missed a bit of games through injury. I mean, for Stirling Albion, I think he missed 2 months games. So and he was beginning to look really sharp when he took off against Stirling Albion. Robbie Foster was in the press box for us last night. He's still in crutches, so we'll not see him back till, I would think, after the new year at the earliest, I think. And as I said, Ronan Hughes done a bit of running last night, back and forth across the park. I think again he's a bit of a slight hamstring problem, so he'll probably. I don't think he'll be back until the league starts. I don't want to risk him until we go to Forfar. As I say, I think they're looking to get all these players nice and ready for the first game of the league at the Station Park.
You've got a feel for Robbie George that obviously start of last season him and Darren played together and then he got injured, and I imagine he would feel as much as anything that the fans probably didn't see the best of Robbie Foster last season. I'm sure he was raring to go for this season, and unfortunately, obviously, injury struck again.
Yeah, and I think we were starting to see glimpses towards the end of the season of what he could contribute, and even at the start when he came in, I was so excited to watch him up at Clyde, and first opening day of the season at Spartans against Spartans. I thought he was outstanding. Strong, quick, everything that you'd look for in centre forward at this level, and unfortunately, it's just not worked out with him. With injuries, and he'll be more devastated than anyone else. But I think, I'm hopeful that as the new year comes, he'll be able to build himself back up, and the club's supporting him through it and everything. And yeah, we'll see what happens when he's back.
You touched on it yourself, Brian, that obviously with Darren will be desperate to get back. Fans will be desperate for him to get back. Management will be desperate for him to get back. But there's no point in him rushing back and then suffering a setback and being out longer than he perhaps should be.
Yeah, that's what he was saying last night. If he comes back too early again, he'll be devastated. So he's got to get it right. We don't want a player out for another 4 or 5 months. You're better having him there in maybe middle August. It's no harder having him till the middle of January. So he's really got get yourself right. And I'm quite sure the physio is keeping him right, and letting him know when he's going to be ready. But he'll know himself. He'll as I say, starting running tomorrow night. So hopefully, the next 2 or 3 weeks he'll get up to speed. I mean, that's him going to be about 3 weeks behind already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's he's got quite a bit of building up to do. But hopefully he'll be. We're looking at maybe August for him to get back.
The other side of the coin, George, we mentioned this last week, but obviously Stevie, Chris, Martin, I'm sure they would all agree, looking to bring in somebody to strengthen our attacking options. But equally, there's no point in going out and just picking up the first attacker that you see, sort of thing. It's got to be somebody that's right for the team on the pitch, but also right for the team in the changing room as well.
Yeah, and I think we've got probably distinct styles in the strikers that we've got. Sal brings raw pace, and Ryan kind of that physicality and determination and strength, and it's maybe something that complements both of them if they're playing alongside, and add something different if they're playing on their own. It's like you say, you don't want to just plump for any old jobber and bring them in. It's got to be the right person, and that takes time. It takes the right kind of the right contract, and I'm sure they'll be looking for the right guy.
I guess as well that obviously teams further up the pyramid, they'll be going through the League Cup as well. They'll be kind of assessing their options, seeing is this player ready for their team, or would he benefit from going out on loan to a club like Stranraer? It might be closer to the start of the league season, or even a couple of games into the league season, Brian, before we see anyone coming through the door.
Yeah, I think you're now looking at the loan system, Tommy, to see if we can get somebody in. I would think we are. I think it's early September, the loan system. You're allowed to bring a player in, so hopefully we can maybe get somebody through the door that'll help the two strikers who are available at the moment, and then Darren as well, and hopefully can come in and I don't know where they're going to get somebody from, because of the goal dust strikers, but hopefully can pick up a young budding striker who's going to plan and score about 10, 15 goals for us.
So with that in mind, I think that wraps up this week. Now we all turn attention to Meadowbank this coming weekend.
Watch football. And the other night there I said, you want to watch Stranraer or Paris against Chelsea? Go Stranraer. I want to see every goal. So thanks for all the...
That's a nice wee message for the fans.
There's a guy praising Stranraer.